What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sit Down. I'm DJ Sixsmith, hanging out with Brandon Micheal Hall, star God friend of me. What's up, man? How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm great.
Good, man.
The show is off to a nice start, so congrats on that.
Thank you, thank you.
But let's wind it back.
All right.
Grew up in South Carolina. Take me back to those early days. Who inspired you to get into acting, and why did you want to get into this business?
Okay, so honestly, working on this project actually opened this question for me about who inspired me when I wanted to be an actor. I grew up in the church, and I was always in the church. Like on Sundays, we would go from one church to another, and about like 5 different churches in one day. And so I was always, in a sense, watching theater and watching the preacher. And I would get wrapped up in the word and the gospel and the spirit of what's happening and how this one man with this ancient text is moving all of these people, and they go off and talk about it, and they come back weeks later. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to be in that position. And so I think from a kid, I was inherently kind of molded without even knowing that I wanted to be an actor. And then when I went to the governor's school, when I was in the 11th grade, I was like, yeah, I got to take this seriously. This is what I want to do.
And so you had that little bit of a background, but describe what it was like to have that feeling for the first time when you're entertaining people and it hits for you on the first time. It's like, okay, people are recognizing that I got something here.
Yeah, it happened when, like I said, when I was in 11th grade, I was doing Romeo and Juliet, and I was doing the prologue, the epilogue, and I was playing the prince. You know, when you're in high school, you got to play multiple
Doing
parts.
everything, yeah.
Everything. And I remember doing the monologue at the very beginning and looking out in the audience, and there was 2 people, and they were like this, like watching. And afterwards, they came up to me, and a little kid was like, yo, I want to do that. Like, I want to do what you just did. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, this is why I picked this craft.
Right.
Because now I'm seeing someone else who was in my position or in my shoes, and they're like, yo, I want to do what you're doing. So that's a really humbling experience. And then when you start pressing the right buttons and you keep going in the right direction, then more people start saying like, oh, I really appreciate this, or this project that you're working on impacted me in some kind of way. I don't know, for me, it helps me get up, like
definitely.
those inspirational moments where you're on set and it's like, I don't know if I'm working 18-hour days, and you get a DM from someone who's saying, I watched your episode and this exact same thing just happened to me and my family, and this is one way that I got, was able to release, and that just makes you want to keep going forward. So I get bit by the bug every time that positivity comes in.
And it's a great reminder, too, because it's bigger than you, and it can feel like work, too, when it's 18-hour days and it's a grind, and okay, you're on TV,
you're not getting the same response.
Yeah,
it'd be different if the response was like, nah, we hate this, and it's like, oh, I got to go back to work on Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
But when the response is exactly what you hoped it to be, you can't beat that.
No question about it. So you're doing your thing in high school. You go to Juilliard. Juilliard's a beast. We've had some people in who have been through Juilliard. So what was like that first, oh my gosh, I'm here at Juilliard moment?
Oh man, it's when I got dropped off in New York. I got off the bus. And
Had you ever been to New York?
No. The first time I saw New York was when I was in the 7th grade in history class. I was looking at this book of the Manhattan Bridge, or the bridge up on 160th that gives you from Washington Heights right over. I guess that's the George Washington.
George Washington, okay.
And funny enough, my second apartment out of school was on 160th, right by the bridge where I saw the picture. Yeah. So when I got dropped off in New York, I was like, what is this place?
This isn't South Carolina.
This is not the South. There's too much going on here. And my uncle picked me up. He was like, man, take those headphones out, man. This is a different world. It's a different environment. But I understand now why he told me to do it, because there's so much to see and learn from this environment.
It's overstimulating sometimes.
So much overstimulating. But as an actor, you can find different characters. You always can find someone doing something interesting that you can take and be like, all right, I'm gonna try to put that on the screen. So it's always a creative acting class every day too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah. What do you remember about your Juilliard audition?
Oh, I fell on my face. Yeah, man, I fell on my face.
Bad?
Oh, it was horrible. It was horrendous. I was the first one to go up in the New York auditions. It was right after the snowstorm in 2015. That big snowstorm that swept through. We flew out here because Juilliard was like, we're not going to Chicago for the Unifieds. Y'all got to come to us. So we wound up flying. Yeah, so we flew out here. It's our first time seeing that much snow. It's like first time in Lincoln, all this cool stuff. And the audition was on a Saturday. I wind up, we wake up and it's like 6:50 in the morning. I was the first one to go. It was like 7, like an hour after we get to the place. And I get to the audition room, and I have a plantar's wart on the bottom of my foot. I don't know, you know what that is,
yeah.
right? It's the ingrown, it was the worst thing ever.
Gosh.
So I'm like doing the old remedy where you put like some vinegar on and put duct tape, like rip it every day. It's like, cause my uncle told me this, like, this is the way to get rid of it.
You're
so
like,
I got,
okay.
Yeah, so I got this thing on the bottom of my foot, and I'm doing the Tempest. I'm doing Caliban, this really physical piece. And there's a part where I have to get up on the chair. I jump up on the chair, my foot went right on the edge, and I went smack down on my face. As I'm falling down, I'm on the ground, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, this is a great start to
this is not where I wanted to
be. And I got back up, and I used it as a part of my piece. So I was like, all right, I got through that. And then they said, okay, well, do your songs. I was like, I'm ready to do my 16 minutes. I'm warmed up. Here we go. And I start, and I say, yeah, and I'm like, yep, can we try again? And my voice completely cracks. And they let me do it again. I do my 16 bars. I'm exhausted. I leave, and I'm right beside my acting teacher, Dan Day, and I take a nap. It took me a long nap. Woke up. My name was on the callback list. I was number 11. Wow. And they asked me to come back and do it again. So we had to do the entire audition again in front of everybody this time. So it was my moment of redeeming myself. We do that audition. We have to take these minor, like very small, kind of 30-minute, if you were in Juilliard classes. Sure. Did that. Then we do an interview. We don't leave until 12:05 the next day.
It's
like
an all day,
It's an all-day event. 2 weeks later, you get an email saying that you got called back for the final 40. And then for 2 days on a weekend, you basically take Juilliard classes where they submerge you into the environment. Wow. And then, was it 3 days after that, on a Tuesday, I got the phone call. And that was the start of something very interesting.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's such a build-up going into it. And then once you're there, I mean, you're really jumping into it.
Yeah, they really don't hold back once you're there.
No.
Nah,
they're trying to break you, and they're really trying to teach you. So what were the most important things you learned during that time?
The most important things I learned was the ability to free myself in any moment when I'm doing a scene where I'm just in life. I'm someone who, I'm a fast thinker. I think very, very fast. I also suffer from dyslexia, so reading and thinking fast and trying to maintain all that information at one time is very complicated for me at times. But Juilliard and the Governor's School, because that's where I got tested around that time. But when I got into college, that's when they were like, yo, read this, try doing this out loud, try this type of method, you know, try this way to memorize. And then I was able to find my own process. So when I left and, you know, being on set, learning lines on the day and the fly, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be able to do it now. Right. You know, so it taught me that dedication, that hard work to work those muscles for myself and not use that as a hindrance, but more as a strength for me.
Yeah, I think that's a great lesson because there are people in your situation that could have been bogged down by that. Could have just said, I'm not going to even try this because I have this, you know, dyslexia situation, but it's really fueled you, which is awesome to hear.
Yeah, it helps. It really does.
Yeah, you just have to be a little bit more creative with how you're going to go about things.
Every time. Every time. My roommates used to get tired of like singing my lines or like, you know, running them till 2 in the morning or doing an interpretive dance. Like you try different ways to do it, but once it gets locked down, it's in there.
That's amazing. Yeah. So you're going through Juilliard, and then, you know, I feel like for you, things kind of popped pretty quickly after Juilliard.
Yeah.
I mean, what were your expectations when you graduated? Because, you know, I think someone in your position, coming from that school, you're thinking, okay, I'm coming from one of the most prestigious schools. Like, I hope to get my, you know, my start in this thing. But, I mean, what were you thinking at that point?
I lucked out. I really lucked out. When I was in school, I had this mentality of like, all right, I gotta start working now. And so the New York Times came out with this thing called 18 Actors Acting. And my first year, I reached out to my classmate, Max. I was like, Max, we should do this. Be something cool we all can do together. We put it on YouTube, get a couple views, but it'd be something nice that we can do as a class. Max was like, absolutely, let's do it. So we did it, and it got some traction. Nice. That project led to something else that, you know, moved in my 4th year. And before I graduated, I was blessed enough to do a pilot with one of my classmates for CBS, crazy enough. It didn't go through, but that was the start of me understanding that, like, okay, I do have a foot in this world, and I can.
People like my stuff.
Yeah, people like my stuff, and that I can take the things that I'm learning and actually apply it, and it's working. Right. Whoa, you know. And at the same time, like I was saying in an interview earlier, the day after I graduated, even though I'm working on this pilot, I'm also starting my job at Tijuana. You know, so it's this very interesting balance of your career starting, but also having to maintain the actual world that you're living in, which is whether or not this goes, I need to get a job.
Yeah.
So let's go waft some teas and shovel around. Would you like some J-Tricid mint? You know, like that. That was my life for a time. And during that moment, I was able to be humbled again. You know, I had this beautiful, beautiful life at Juilliard and Governor School, and things was great. And then things were like, all right, well, let's see how you can make it in New York.
Right.
You know, and then the ball just kept rolling.
Yeah, and I got to make some money.
I got to make some money.
The Tivana story is great because you hear about everybody at the coffee shop or waiter, waitress. I haven't heard Tivana before. That's a new one.
Yeah, Tivana's a spot. I think they've closed down most of the tea shops on the East Coast, but you can still like buy the teas and whatnot.
Right, you see them in the mall and stuff like that.
Yeah. But oh yeah, we could have the tea booklet. We used to have to waft the tea.
So you're an expert.
I got my tea down. I can tell you what the
favorite tea. I mean,
mint tea, hands down, mint tea. Mint tea is the best for you, as well as matcha. Matcha green tea, that can clean out anything for you.
And if you want to go to sleep, chamomile will do that.
Chamomile tea, absolutely. You can do some black tea if you want to get some energy.
A little Earl Grey as well.
Earl Grey, some oolongs. So where do you work at? Do you work at?
No, my fiance's into tea, so I've 5 years of being with her.
So she knows about tea.
She knows her tea.
She has the cast iron?
She does not have the cast iron. Maybe that's a present down the road. Anniversary's coming up.
Get her cast iron, but make sure you get the cups with it too.
Okay.
Got to get the cups with it.
See, that's why we have you in. Get all the advice.
Hey, I've been around.
Exactly. All right, so you had the pilot with CBS. It didn't go through. What were you learning about the business early on that you didn't anticipate? Because it's the ABC show, it's movies. I mean, what were kind of the initial things that you're like, wow, I didn't expect this, or this is something I didn't anticipate hitting up?
Yeah, I think well, for me, it was more so of how fast that world moves of TV and film. We didn't do much film and TV studies at Juilliard.
It's theater,
it's much of the classical. And your fourth year, they jam-pack all this film stuff in there. And so you kind of come out of the world being like, okay, I think I remember half of this stuff. But I learned that the same amount of work that goes into doing something on the stage is even more just about that you have to do in film. So I felt prepared, I felt equipped with the tools I needed. The business side of it is where I was like, okay, this is a new world for me. Arsenio Hall set me, Marcel, and Bernard down on the mayor one day, and he said, do you understand why the word show business is the way it is? Why show is much smaller than the word business? Because in this business, you have to show less and do more business. And when he told me that, I was like, okay, now I get this scope.
That's great advice.
For the past 6 years, I've been doing the show. I've been learning how to hone my craft. Now it's to learn how do you hone this business, to bring them all together and create your own, So that's where the place I'm in now, is to create my own content, create my own things.
Yeah, that's awesome.
To put my own voice out there. Because it's interesting when you're working on these sets and you hear these scripts and you're like, yes, this is dope, or I want to do this, or I can change this, or I wonder what conversations are happening here. And then slowly but surely more doors start to open where you get to peek, and you get to see it. And you're like, okay, this is what I have to do to prepare myself to get to that place.
And they want the best version of Brandon. They don't want somebody else. Nah. Because like you're saying, when you're in college and high school, you're picking and choosing from other people. But then it's like, you're doing this for real, we want the best version of you.
Yeah.
And that takes a while.
That was my biggest thing when I was getting out of school auditioning, was a lot of auditioners were like, can you just talk to me? Can you actually just put the work at home and just be here? And it's like, but I am doing it. It's like, no, you're not. And I'm still at the place where I'm shedding it away, trying to find that transparency again,
Yeah, people just want to make a connection, because ultimately you're going to be spending 18 hours a day with this person, right? It's like, okay, you can do the work, but who's this person beyond the script?
Absolutely.
So, thinking about the mayor, I mean, just such an amazing opportunity for you at that point in your career, and just that specific idea of a show too. So what was the coolest part of that experience for you?
Ooh, the coolest part of that experience was being able to do a show with that many different creatives in one world.
Yeah.
You got David Diggs, you got Jeremy Harris, Yvette Nicole Brown, Marcel and Bernard, and Leah Michelle. I mean, and we're working on music on the weekends with David. It was a time where I felt like I was back in school, where I was acting during the week and then doing music on the side, and then helping on on Sundays, and then going back on. It was a huge family on that set. It was so much fun, man. And to go back and listen to those tracks and being like, we did that, we created this. Or people saying, hey, I really dig God Friend of Me, it's really beautiful. Just want to let you know that the mayor, man, it's like, oh, my work is reaching people. So that was the funnest thing. That was the funnest thing to do. was to be able to be that challenged, but with a group of people that you're having the best time in the world with.
Definitely, and regardless of what you do, that is such a unique experience. You know, it may not be recreated, but you can always remember it fondly. And listen, even shows get canceled and pilots don't get picked up, and that's a part of the business. But like you said, it moves quick, and it's like, find out about the mayor, boom, God friended me.
There you go.
Here we come. So why was that appealing for you with God friended me?
It was appealing to me because at the time in my life, it's exactly what I needed. Having the mayor kind of like, oh, this is my first show, and it's gone.
Yeah,
your
just
faith
like
gets
that.
tested.
Yeah,
So
totally.
when you then present it with a script, it's like, okay, now play a character that has no faith.
And this is the opposite of who I was.
Opposite of who I was. It's like, oh, okay, well, I have to do this. I'm nervous. This is a challenge for me. So that's why I wanted to pick up that script, because Courtney was so close, and Courtney was exactly what I needed for the time in my life, for that time in my life. And Miles is exactly what I need for now, which is finding, like you were saying before, that transparency. Who am I without any other, anything else defining? Just simply me.
Totally.
You know?
And I feel like, you know, people our age, like mid-20s, you're going through this in your life. You know, you're separate from your parents. You're getting involved with your friends and significant others, and who am I going to be for the rest of my life?
And you're living in New York.
And you're living in New York, where
you're
trying to make ends meet. You know, you're just trying to put the pieces together professionally. And then you bring in this spiritual component as well, and thinking about how people all connect together. And it's, you know, it's a fascinating show. So did you guys feel like you had something special, you know, early on in this whole process?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, from the pilot, we knew that this was going to be like a dope show. We knew that people were going to be able to connect with the show and also talk about the show after. I mean, it does what I saw the church doing. You know, we present this show at 8 o'clock or sometimes 8:30, depending on football. But we present this show, and people talk about it days and days afterwards, waiting for the next episode. That's exactly what I wanted to do growing up. So the idea that I'm now fulfilling that, I guess you could say, destiny or that prophecy in a way. I don't know, it brings everything full circle.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know, you think about your mom in the church, like people are coming together in the church. People in the show are being connected together. And you're always thinking about it, like you bump into somebody and you're like, is this person supposed to be in my life for a specific reason? Or is this happening right now? And you know, episode 1, you're certainly finding out how people are connected in a really crazy way. So, and we were talking before, like the music, the writing, it's all authentic. And in a space now where there's so many different shows, I think your show really cuts through because it's just you being you. Got a great cast. You got Joe Morton out there playing some chess with them.
Happy birthday, Joe.
So how is this different from other shows that you've done before?
How is this different? It's different because it's a drama. You know, Search Party is a dramedy. You know, The Mayor was a straight comedy. So now I'm able to sit into a world where it's not like a dark drama, but it's a quadrant, something that I'm being stretched to use my emotions and my skills in a way in all different directions. Second episode, I got to play the piano and sing. You know, that was nerve-wracking, but that I did it because I've been practicing for a minute. Or you know, there's episodes coming up where it's very emotionally heavy, and there's somewhere it's very energetic. So you always have to be on and always ready to find out what Miles is going to do next. So that's where it's different, and it's an hour, so it's much more time-consuming, I guess. I don't know. The Mayor was hard, but this is, it's time-consuming.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's time-consuming. You got to keep people's attentions, you know, and you know, you got to keep it moving. So it's definitely a difficult thing to do. But when people watch the show, you know, what do you want them to be left thinking? Because I've heard you say, you know, it's a spiritual show and it's connecting people, but what's like the main thing you want people to think about?
On the real, I want people to feel hopeful, and I know that can sound cheesy, but that's something that we really want to push.
We definitely need that. That's for sure.
Man, so much. And when I read these scripts and I'm looking at the storylines and the people that they're bringing in, and the people that we're touching in these scripts, that's exactly what we need right now with everything that's going on. So that's what I want people to walk away with, which is, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's happening in the world, and it can be very challenging at times. But, you know, for one good hour, you can watch someone else go through some heartache and go through a challenge that maybe,
and laugh about it a little bit.
And laugh about it. See, and that's my job, you know? My job is to be the vessel for other people to see on the screen, to be like, okay, he went through this, and maybe I can get through it the same way he did or some other different way.
Right.
And so I want people to leave knowing that that's what we're doing for them, is that we're making it about you. We're making it about the people, about having that personal interest. Right. So to walk away with that, to feeling like you had a personal moment with one of your friends.
Yeah, I mean, I think people can connect to your character or Joe Morton's character or, you know, or any of the characters really because it's all the different things, whether it's love or relationships or religion. Like, these are just the entry points into a much larger conversation. And like you said, it just creates fodder for the next week in terms of what's going to happen. Yeah. So thinking about your career right now, I mean, just 25, I mean, thinking about where you're at right now, like what are other things you want to do, and who are people that you look to that maybe are a couple of years ahead of you that you say, I like what that person's doing?
Oh yeah, Donald Glover. I always shout out Donald Glover because he's the monument of what you. He's like he's inspired. He's the musical theater of TV and film. He's the triple quadruple threat. You know. So yeah, that's the big inspiration right there, and he's not that far away from me in age.
Right. How old is he now?
I think he's 31, 32 with 2 kids now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He just had another one. You know. So like, why do I know all this about him? You know?
No, you're keeping tabs on these people because it's not that far away.
Yeah, follow his career. Yeah, like the fact that, you know, he was working on Atlanta, an album, his second album. He was writing for Deadpool at the time. He put his brother and his family on. And altogether, he still remains this very cool, intriguing, curious guy, you know. I don't think he ever lost sense of who he was personally. No. And so that's what I aspire to be. I aspire to be that inspiration for the next generation. Like kind of like Chance, you know. Yeah. There's a Chance doing carpool karaoke. Not carpool karaoke, he's doing Uber now to raise money for public schools in Chicago.
Right, bigger than him.
Bigger than him, always doing something bigger. And that's what I want to do. So those are my inspirations.
Yeah, and I mean, Donald cut his teeth in network TV just like you're doing right now.
And look he's bringing all the gold home. So we're coming back for CBS.
No question. Well, Brandon, really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother.
You got it. Catch God, Friend, and Me on CBS. We'll see you next time here on The Sit Down.